Hello, so today I'm going to take part in my own blind taste test challenge, and I'm going to be using these three Glenfiddich minis, which are part of the core range, the 12, the 15 and the 18. So to do the blind taste test, what I'm going to do is my wife's going to fill up each of these Glencairns, they're labelled on the bottom, with 12, 15 and 18, and she's going to fill them up, mix them about so I don't know what's in them, and then I'm going to taste each one and see which I prefer. Then I'm going to try and guess which one each is, and then when I think I've worked it out, I'm going to reveal whether or not I'm right. I've had the 15 before, so maybe I'm at an advantage, or maybe not. We'll find out. Right, so my wife's poured all 3 drams into the Glencairns. I don't know which is which. Glenfiddich is aged for all 3 of them in bourbon and sherry casks, so I'm assuming they'll all have some sherry influence. They might all have some peppery spice, but obviously all of these are 40%, which is obviously the minimum legal requirement for whiskey. The one in the middle is looking slightly lighter. The 2 either side are a similar colour by the looks of it, both slightly darker. So let's try the first one. Well, that one's definitely deep sherry on the nose. Quite sweet, I'm getting vanilla, strong dried fruits. It's difficult to tell in isolation how old this might be on the nose. Let's try the next one on the nose. Right, that one's noticeably sweeter in terms of like caramel and vanilla, nowhere near as strong sherry. It's almost like I'm getting a hint of heat or smoke in this one. It's completely different in character on the nose. Let's try the last one. Right, this one has a lot less vanilla sweetness and a lot more sherry sweetness. It's that sort of wine, dark fruits. That's what stands out on that one. Let's just go back to this one. See, I'd say on the nose, having smelt all 3, this smells like the oldest. This smells a bit more complex, a bit more rich. Yeah, that one's nowhere near as much sherry. And that one's just sherry. So, let's try them on the palate. Dried fruits, Christmas cake, too sweet on the palate. Dry on the finish though. And quite a lingering peppery spice. Must be the influence from the bourbon casks. If I had to guess at this stage, I'd say that's the 18. We'll wait until I've gone through the others. Right, so moving on to the next one. Yeah, see, this one's got really sort of toffee vanilla on the nose, so we'll see how this compares. Right, the sweetness on the palate isn't as strong as on the nose. There's not much sherry influence at all. There's that sort of oaky sort of fairly young wood taste coming through. The finish is quite short. There's a little bit of prickle, a little bit of pepper. Yeah, there's almost no sherry influence on the palate, so I would say this one's leaning towards the 12 year. Let's see what else I can pick up on this. There's a little hint of citrus. It definitely tastes like a younger whiskey than the previous one. And there is a little hint of sherry there now, but it's mostly sweetness, fairly dry sweetness. I think this is the 12, but let me just have one more go. There's a hint of sherry, but it's mostly sort of that bourbon sweetness that you get from the oak, and that distinct sort of peppery prickle on the tongue. But it's got quite a dry finish, quite a short finish. So on to the last one. Yeah, see, this one's definitely seems like an in-between. There's a hint of sherry, a hint of toffee. It does smell older than the one I've just tried. Let's just see how this tastes. See, this one's quite sweet. It's like a brown sugar, caramelized sugar. There's a hint of sherry, but it doesn't taste as strong as the first one. Definitely, there's a noticeable sherry influence, which the middle one didn't have, but quite different to the first one. I'm not totally certain this is the 15. Let's go back to this one, which I think is the 18. This one's definitely softer and rounder. Let me just add a bit of water. This one was softer and rounder than this one. They've both got a sherry influence. But obviously the 15's Aqvavitae, which from memory that did give quite a sweet sherry finish, but not overly strong. So in order of preference, this would be my least favourite, this would be my next favourite, this would be my favourite. And I also believe that that's the 12, that's the 15, that's the 18, but let's just go through them once again. I'm going to go through in the order that I think they are, least to best. So that's good solid whiskey, but there's almost no sherry in it, so that's why I think that's the 12. That one's quite sweet. And from memory, it does remind me of the Aqvavitae 14 Caribbean cask, which is very similar, but even sweeter than the Glenfiddich 15. Let's try this one. This one has the most sherry influence. It seems to have a longer finish, so that's why I think that that's the 12, that's the 15, and that's the 18. Let's find out if I'm right. So let's start with the middle one first. I think this is the 12. It is the 12. Don't know if you can see that. So I was right with that one. It's good to know. Right, I think this one's the 15. Let's find out if I'm right. No. It's the 18. So that means, even though I've had the 15 before, yeah, and that one's the 15. Even though I've had the 15 before, it caught me out. The 15 is obviously more rounded, has more sherry influence. Obviously doesn't have as much toffee and vanilla sweetness. Yeah, see? 18. To be fair, it's some time since I've had the 15. I've had many good whiskies in between that, so let's put them round the right way. So that's the order that they're in. See, the 18 I definitely thought wasn't the best one. It does have a nice toffee sweetness on the nose, has a nice amount of sherry, but for me the 15 has more character than all three. The 12 is a good solid whiskey, but the 18, tasting it blind, it's nice, but it doesn't have the same character as the 15. So I think I'll stick with the 15 in future. Sláinte.